You better brace yourself for Kamala Harris's big policy launch today. Finally, I'm actually excited about this because now the American people are going to get a real good look at what a Kamala Harris presidency will look like. So far, apparently 4 policy proposals are coming today in her big announcement. 1, stealing President Trump's no taxes on tips policies, right? Number 2, stealing J.D. Vance's tax credit for new parents. He's been saying for weeks and weeks, $5,000 tax credit for new parents. She's saying, how about $6,000? So she's stealing that idea. But on her own, this is where it gets good. Implementing communist price controls for food. And when you hear what is really going on, and I can't deliver that as well as Tara Servatius, the morning host on 98.9 WORD in South Carolina. I'm going to play for you how Tara, it's about 5 or 6 minutes, and I heard it this morning driving in, and I could not believe how smart and how important it is to connect the dots. The New York Times gave it away a couple of years ago. And it won't surprise you, it has to do with climate change and control. Doesn't have pardon my language, doesn't have a damn thing to do with lowering prices. What a joke that Kamala Harris is pretending that if she gets elected president, she'll start making life more affordable for Americans. She's been the vice president for 4 years, and now you're going to make a change? What moron would accept that? And I mean it. What kind of an imbecile do you have to be to believe that? Where she's the vice president, these are her policies. Right now, the reason people can't go to the grocery store and afford groceries is because of the Biden-Harris economic agenda. And she's got the audacity to look you in the eye, lie to you and say, now, if you just vote for me, if you elect me, my commitment will be to lower your grocery prices. Well, she wants to do it with communist price controls. And it is dystopian, it is terrifying, and it has to do with a congressional act from the early 1900s that gives the president the authority to regulate food prices. And in the monologue that I'm going to share with you from Tara, not only is it about food prices, it's also the kind of food you're going to be allowed to eat. And if you think I'm making it up, Kamala Harris describes it in her own words. In her own words. Government regulation of what you're allowed, how much red meat and sugar you're allowed to eat. And it's been coming a long time. I remember years ago when I was a host in New York City on WABC radio, and Bloomberg came up with regulating restaurants' salt output. And I was terrified. I went on the air and I said, are you kidding me? The government is going to tell a restaurant how much salt they're allowed to put in their food? Are you out of your mind? So this isn't necessarily a brand new thing, but new and improved with Kamala Harris. So you better be prepared. And finally, her other big policy promise, giving new homeowners $25,000 down payments. That, of course, is going to immediately drive the price of housing up because, as my realtor told me last night, well, that means the house, that price immediately goes up by, the value goes up by $25,000. The price is going to go up by $25,000, which is going to make it even harder for people to buy a house due to subsidizing demand. Now, don't take my word for it. Don't believe National Review. Don't believe Town Hall. Don't believe, how about the Washington Post? This stunningly comes from the Washington Post. Headline, when your opponent calls you a communist, maybe you shouldn't propose price controls. And Catherine Rampell from the Washington Post goes through a really important analysis of the absurdity of what Kamala Harris is going to propose today. Do you know what the profit margin is for grocery stores? As I learned from Tara, and I looked it up, and it is absolutely true. It's about 1.5%. Average profit margin in America is about 8%. Profit margins for supermarkets are notoriously thin. So while Kamala Harris is blabbing about grocery stores gouging, even when prices surged, this is according to the Washington Post, the grocery store profit margins remained relatively meager. These are the kind of facts that are completely missing from this communist coup. And that's all this is. This woman hasn't gotten a single vote to be in the position she's in today. They pushed Joe Biden out, and he stood there like the pathetic old man that he is, looking confused and baffled, and standing there shoulder to shoulder with her yesterday as she's cackling and giggling and grinning like a hyena, acting like she didn't help oust him via coup. There's nothing about the Democrat process in this country right now, the Democrat Party process, that resembles the United States. Nothing that resembles an American ideal. They are anti-American. They're hell-bent on destroying America. They're tyrants. And the American people aren't going to put up with this crap at all.